Got it. And clock. Oop. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest edition of The Boys from Bossk. I'm a bit down today. It's been hot over. Look at us matching wife beaters. I don't know if we should use that phrase.
It's hot. It's hot in the south.
But we clearly look like a bunch of weird hillbillies. Especially if you get your hair out. Get your hair out, Dave. Go and do it. No. Oh, come on, Dave. Get your hair out.
No.
You can do it.
Look, it's all tied up.
Oh, yeah, you got your little mullet. Yeah, it's been hot over here in the UK and sweaty and all the rest of it. And I am currently in a very hot room. I've got a fan going, but it's gone weird. Like we were approaching winter, and now we're not. So what can you say?
Global warming, my friend.
It's definitely something, but that's no excuse for these vests.
The reverse of the poles.
But here we are. You know, it's the nature of the beast, and we're also missing one of our number, ladies and gentlemen. One of our number has been caught short, and will not be joining us tonight.
He hasn't been caught short, has he?
Well, he has. He needs to.
No, he's just in a meeting. That's it.
Well, I wasn't going to tell him he was in a meeting. What was I? It's none of their business. But yeah, basically, Super Mike's not here today, and he'll be back. He'll be back next show, but obviously he's going to miss out on what is going to be a superb show. So it's just me and Big Dave here.
Well, it's going to be you and me a little bit.
Better not sit there and gripe. You like this podcast isn't meant to be a test of my abilities.
It is. It's your job. It's your baby.
Oh, whatever. So Big Dave's been a bit shy, but ladies and gentlemen, if you've got any questions for him,
stupid.
If you've got any questions for him, please feel to fire off and feel free to tell him he's not stupid because the Big Dave's not stupid. Okay, he's a bit funny, but as stupid as he is not. So feel free to let us know what you think of the show, and also I don't know if you're enjoying it. This is let me do the start properly. 3 men on a mission.
There's 2 of us.
I know, but there's just 2 of us for this week. You know, he's still here in spirit, like the Force.
I bet he's not. I bet he's having a beer somewhere with his feet up, having a jolly.
3 men on a mission to bring you. Well, he might be, but that's not the point. To bring you all the stories and news, information from the world of nerd entertainment. This is the glorious tale, the glorious story, the glorious adventure of the boys from Bossk. Woo! And how have you been, Biggest Davis? How have you been?
Hungover.
Huh?
Hungover.
Why are you hungover? Where on earth have you been going?
Motorbike racing.
Considering this is still a COVID nation.
Motorbike racing, my friend. Motorbike racing.
How'd that go? Was it fun?
Yeah, we came second.
Oh, okay. Well, there's an adventure. There's the start, anyway. All right. Yeah, well, look, I haven't been doing much except been watching all TVs and shows, ladies and gents, just for you. But like I said, welcome back to the Boys from Bossk. I was about to say Global Freaks. I keep doing that. I've got to stop it. It's really annoying. But yes, welcome back to the Boys from Bossk. Now, obviously, with the mic here, I'm going to put Dave under a lot more pressure, but I know he's going to love it.
No.
Because why not?
Because I don't remember anything that I've watched. It's a blur, a big blur. We went cinema today and I don't remember anything.
Oh, rubbish. Anyway, so rubbish. No, he's not. Dave's he's putting too much pressure on himself again, but I'm sure you can handle it. Now, first up in terms of news stories is, right, so Aquaman, I don't know what DC's up to exactly, but they've done it with at least one of their other characters. Superman, his son, has taken over the role of Superman. And the same thing's happening to Aquaman as well. So you're going to see a bit less of the I guess they'll become legacy characters. They'll take over the title of Superman and Aquaman respectively. But what's interesting about the Aquaman change is that it's the character that's becoming Aquaman is not only an Atlantean but the son of Black Manta, who is Aquaman, the current Aquaman's greatest enemy. So it's going to be quite an interesting.
How's his son?
And he's also black, Jackson Hyde. So it's going to be quite an interesting moving forward on that one, and I'll be interested to see if it works because whenever they change a character's color, people treat it like there's a crowd online who always treat it like they're changing it to another species. And like an alien species, and so he's only changed to a black guy. He's still Aquaman.
He does look a bit like an alien, though, doesn't he?
Well, he's Atlantean, isn't he? So
he's got like seaweed for hair.
That's dreadlocks, Dave.
It's green.
It's green. It's just
green.
Or
is it? I know it's blonde. It is blonde, yeah.
It's just dyed here.
It looks green on my phone for some reason.
But so we'll see, Dave. You already jumped in. See, I love it. See, you're doing fine, Dave.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big move comic-wise. I don't know if it's going to work because, like I said, there is a small contingency that are always kicking off whenever they change a character. But like I said, they're not changing him to another species. He's just becoming a black guy. So I'll be interested to see where that goes.
He looks a bit like a surfer dude there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think like they're going along that way. He's quite young. He's quite youthful. He's also, I think the character's meant to be gay. So that also in itself is going to be quite interesting. And it's with the Superman one, I think they're saying that he might be bisexual, but that may just be the angry part of the internet going, they're changing everything to PC, all the rest of it. But we shall see what happens. These younger heroes coming along. Obviously, comic books have done this before.
I think he is. If you look at the cover of the actual first edition, you've got all the pride rainbows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite exciting. I might even pick up an issue or two. I've been reading a few more comics recently. Like I started catching up on the Turtles. Were you ever into the Ninja Turtles?
The cartoons?
Yeah, well, I started picking up the
Roland, Nintendo game,
which is like it's another one of those last days of the Turtle ones, like Batman, Return of the Dark Knight, Wolverine, Wastelands, and all the rest of it. So I might pick up that one. We'll see how that goes. The other thing I wanted to say, actually, I wanted to start the show with this because there's not much news about this in the UK, right? Which I find strange. But Little Nas, right, as far as I'm concerned, he's like the I don't know, the arbiter of the age. He's a sign that something else is happening because like everything he does now is controversial, right? But only in a way like Footloose. You remember the film Footloose and like what is his name?
Kevin Bacon turned the town to dance.
Yeah, taught the town to dance. Nas is teaching people that homosexuality is not a threat to you. It's not a danger to you.
Well, he's the first openly black country singer that's come out as gay, isn't he? So,
well, I think the first rapper to openly come out as gay, or at least at the very least, the first one to consistently not only come out as gay, but just put it in like literally. I think one of his videos is him going to hell and giving the devil a lap dance. Another one, have you seen the prison? he done a charitable video for prison, and basically it's like 10 naked. Yeah, when you go to if you go to a strip joint and women they dance seductively. So he does a prison one, but it's like with 10 naked black guys, and they literally are naked with a little bit of thing to like blur
their dignity.
Yeah, to blur their dignity, not by looks of it that they needed it. But it's like Little Nas keeps doing it. And I'm going to rename this age the Age of Nas, because he just he hasn't held back. And I think although in the UK it's slightly different, like in a week where Drake and Kanye dropped an album, ain't nobody talking about him. They're talking about Nas. So I think Nas really is the
I think it's because people are fed up with Drake and the other ones just lost the plot somewhere.
Well, like I said, I've got no confirmation of it, but there's lots of rumors going around about Drake, and I think it's about Drake and his behavior with younger celebrities, So I don't know if they're true. I hope they're not, but there's all sorts of rumors going around, and yeah. But anyway, and also I think Drake on his latest album, I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I know R. Kelly's a great lyricist, right?
He wasn't a bad singer.
I know, but at a moment when you know he's been on trial for like being arrested for over a year and been in legal trouble for a while, you don't put his name on your album. That's all I'm saying as a producer. That's just a bit, you know.
Is he not in prison? And I thought he was.
No, he is in prison. He's actually in his trials. I think he's some way through his trial.
I don't know. He's guilty anyway, isn't
he? Like there are a few things that are definite in this world. One of those is that there's something wrong with
it's not going to be like OJ. This one's definitely a guilty one.
There's enough evidence. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like with OJ Simpson, even though it looked really straightforward, yeah, there's lots of evidence to say that he possibly didn't do it, right? And that he's also crazy. But at the same time, there's no, you know, R. Kelly is kind of like, yeah, no. Especially all that when that story came about him and Aaliyah. But
that was true. He married her when she was 14
or
15.
Yeah. That's evidence enough. But then at the same time, Elvis never went to prison. Anyway,
nor did Jerry Lee Lewis. Was it Jerry Lee Lewis?
No, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis never went to prison. Ruined his career.
First cousin, wasn't it?
Ruined his career, even though he made a couple of films. So I know. Anyway, right. So,
but
I'm formally declaring this the age of Nas because I think he deserves to have this age, and it really does feel like his time. Right, so where else are we? I've lost track for a moment. Right, trailers. Well, let me go back to the comic news first. So, the X-Men are going through another change. Now, I stopped reading the X-Men a while ago now. Did you ever read the X-Men? I know you're into cartoons, but did you ever read any comics?
I was never really into comics as a kid, unless it was like the Dandy or the Beano, really. When it got to that like 11, 12-year-old stage, I was playing sports like a normal child. I wasn't locked up.
You know what? I was gonna go gatekeeper on you, but I'm like, you know what? Fair enough.
I know a lot about the X-Men. I did read a couple of novels.
Well, they're doing a new storyline coming up called Inferno. There's a trailer out for it. Check it out. I haven't read much of the current run of it, where they've got their own island state, but apparently it's all meant to come being burnt down because they broke a promise to Mystique and didn't bring back her partner and life mate Destiny. And apparently she's going to burn the whole place down. So that should be quite an interesting storyline. And I may join in for that one because I haven't quite enjoyed all the stuff they've had so far. It seemed very, very bland. But we'll see what happens. Now, there's been a lot of trailers coming out recently. So I'm not too sure where to start with the trailers. But I guess let's start at the top.
Got a few today.
We did indeed. One of the trailers we saw previously was Red Notice. Now that is coming to Netflix because it's now, I think,
next month, isn't it? Or November?
Yeah. Like all the good products starting to come out in the run up to Christmas because obviously that's a big time for not just the streaming services but the TV shows as well. Because normal TV shows take a break, and so people go to cinema, seeing family, all that stuff.
Well, they normally stop for Thanksgiving in the States, don't they? So it ruins the rest of the world stuff.
So Red Notice, that's coming out next month. It's a Netflix film, but it stars, let's do this, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Gal Gadot.
Is it not Gadot?
No, it's Gadot. It's Gadot.
Gadot.
Whatever. Wonder Woman, and
just goddamn lady,
and Deadpool, or as we call him, Ryan Reynolds.
We like to call Sir Ryan Reynolds over here.
I don't know how much money Netflix put out on this, but the trailer looks good in a way that a lot of Netflix product hasn't looked good. in the trailers, and when you watch it, it's even more disappointing. So I think this is the second or third project Ryan Reynolds big project they've done with Netflix. He done that one where he was six underground or something, where he was Underground 6, where they were, and that the money looked good there, and it looked really, really good. And this looks fantastic, like a big old action film. Him and Ryan Reynolds, The Rock and Ryan Reynolds teaming up, and I think Gal coming in there somewhere. And do you know what, Dave? Right, talking about that, I watched Wonder Woman 1984 again.
You watched it
because
twice,
you mentioned it.
Poor guy.
No, you mentioned it, and actually, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I was led to believe. And I have to admit, the last time I watched it, I was really, really tired.
The acting is
terrible.
terrible.
I disagree. I don't think it's a terrible film. I think the pacing's bad on it. The editing and directing is pretty bad.
And Pedro Pascal was probably the worst Lex Luthor wannabe ever.
I kind of liked him. I think
he can't act. He's a shit actor. Sorry, that's me done with him.
I thought you loved him, Mandalorian.
No, he's the worst thing about the Mandalorian. He's the worst thing of Game of Thrones as well. Just he grabbed them out and killed him.
You've really got it personal, haven't you? Well, ladies and gents, I personally think that Wonder Woman is actually a decent film. It's not. It's definitely one of the best superhero films I've ever seen. And the first Wonder Woman
been dead for 100 years. She's still pining for his love.
Yeah, was it 100 years? It would have been about 60 years, Wayne.
It was the First World War, wasn't it?
Yeah, so 80. Yeah, say
60 years. Yeah.
Well, she loved him, and I got that. It was nice to see him again, and he was quite funny in there. And I think the action scenes sort of held up until the last action scene. It sort of held up. All I would say is that it really needed a bit more of what the first film had. It needed a lot more action,
good acting, better story.
Me and you're gonna fall out live on air if you keep.
I'm just saying how it is.
Can you imagine if we actually had those type of fun? Me and you were gonna fall out live.
That's what people want to see. They want to see us rock.
All right, then let's do this. Right? Yeah. No, they fucking beep, 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 beep. No, look. All I'm saying is Wonder Woman wasn't as bad as it seemed. And after giving it a second shot, I quite enjoyed it. And the scenes with her and old what's his name? Captain of the Enterprise. Chris Pine. See, you talk about your memory. My memory is terrible.
Well, I've had a couple of runs now. I'm alive.
Chris Pine is actually good, and his sacrifice by the end of the film is actually quite brilliant. A brilliant moment in the film. I just think too much happens in it that doesn't make any sense, and also I think they opened themselves up to too much criticism by just having no sort of balance to the film. Like there's a scene when Cheetah is walking home, and every single man she encounters is just a horrible, like, predator of some kind, and it just sort of lacks balance. I'm not saying that wouldn't have happened in 1984. I'm just saying it didn't give the film any balance, because that is one miserable world.
A miserable cow anyway, isn't she?
If men were doing that to her, she deserved to become the cheetah and deserved to take him out. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I gave it another shot and I was right with it. But that's my take on Red Notice. I think Red Notice is going to be a big hit for Netflix, just because it looks big, it sounds big, and
it's got a big cast.
Yeah, and it's got a really, really big cast.
And them two are funny. So
yeah,
I think I'll be shocked.
Gal will be quite funny, and she, unlike even, I think she does more. It looks like she's doing a lot of combat in this film, and it looks good. Especially when she done stretch the leg and then go flying in the trailer. We saw the Bond.
Oh, when she kicked him across the room, yeah.
Yeah, we saw the Bond trailer today, and they do a similar thing in that there's a female character with a long dress and long legs who just seems to have the ability to kick men around the room quite easily. But we'll see how it goes.
Actually, looks pretty good though, that film, considering I don't really like Bond movies.
Yeah. Well,
but Dan Craig does look pretty old in this now. He needs to give it up.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole point. I think he's just like, he's over it.
Yeah.
Because Bond is a
He's
rubbish
like Sean
character.
Connery in The Rock now.
Bond's kind of like Benny Hill, but he doesn't look like Benny Hill. Do you know what I mean? He's just sort of Russ turns up and goes, "I'm James Bond." All right, what? James Bond that was in that other country.
This James Bond was always suave and smart and everything. He was in a tux and he looked haggard.
Yeah. But no, you're right. In the books, he wasn't ever he wasn't a good looking guy. He wasn't like this great hero. He was a horrible piece of work. He was an assassin. But in the films, he's like this suave, like Austin Powers. I'm surprised they ever made another Bond film after Austin Powers, because Austin Powers nailed it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They nailed it so well. So it's quite nice that they got the new run with Daniel Craig, but it is dated. You know, that type of man never existed that could go through that much punishment. And as much as it's fun to watch, they're boys' own adventures. And they turn them into more adult fare with these new films. But I think it's time to just like give it a rest. I'm not sure. But that's just me. You know, don't sue me. Right. So
They just need to modernize it.
Yeah, they have to keep trying. I think Bourne.
Remake some of the films.
The Bourne
you've got
trilogy
20
made it.
films to do, so just remake them.
Yeah,
modernize them.
The Bourne trilogy made them modernize, but then the Bourne even looks a bit dated now. But we'll see where it goes.
Probably with TV and stuff, you can look back 5 years and it looks really dated because technology is just banging it out every year.
Well, they're putting so much more money into the standard production, and you can see it, especially if you look at the other trailer I brought up, The Wheel of Time. Now, as far as I'm concerned, The Wheel of Time is a god awful book. I tried reading it. I really did try reading it, and it's a lot of books, and it's a hefty read. But again, it's proved popular. I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
It's
Is it like Hot Tub Time Machine?
No, it's more like Lord of the Rings, but with a lot more.
Yeah, you can go with this one by yourself then.
Oh no, I think you'll like it. It's gonna be a Prime TV one. I don't. It's when I hold on, Dave. Yeah, when I say like Lord of the Rings, there's nothing like Lord of the Rings. Okay, Lord of the Rings is literally, and I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for this. It's sexist. It's racist. It's dated, and I don't know anybody. And sizist. I don't know anybody who's like read all three, like read that and then read the actual Lord of the Rings books, all three of them. I don't know anybody who's done that. And I know a lot of people have a lot of heart for them because it introduces like the hobbits and all the rest of it. And they're quite nice, sweet characters. But who didn't watch the films and go, especially the last movie, when they have the big army coming and go, those are blatantly black dudes and Arabs, and they're all the bad guys. I was sat in the cinema, I went, they've got turbans on, they've got elephants. Is that not just a bit kind of close to the? And all the dwarves are blatantly Jews. The gold, we must have the gold. I'm like, how did they get away with that shit? But that's just my opinion on it. I know other people have their opinion on it, but I think the Lord of the Rings, that whole package is just too dated. And Wheel of Time, although it's got a lot of the cliches of fantasy, I think it's going to have a lot more drama. For starters, there's a lot more women in it, and there's a lot more adventure in it, and there's a lot more. I don't know if there's going to be a huge amount of violence in it, but I think it's just going to be a bit more grounded to a degree than Lord of the Rings. And the budget, I think, looks quite high. I mean, it's got Rosamund Pike in it. It's got quite a cast of good-looking young people in it, and I think it's going to do well. It's got you might know them from other stuff. Sophie Okonedo.
Oh, you spit out those names.
Barney Harris, Madeline Madden. She's quite young. Miguel
It doesn't
Veras.
look too bad, actually.
I think it
looks better than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big show for Amazon.
It's a fantasy
Yeah, it's high
program.
fantasy.
Yeah.
Swords, magic, all the rest of it, and I think it'll be quite big. And I'm definitely check out the trailer. It is
Trouble
out
is,
there.
they're bringing it out at the same time as what, The Hobbit? Is it The Hobbit that's coming out?
No, the Amazon's also got Lord of the Rings, because but that won't be till like next year or the year after.
Oh, I
next.
thought that was coming out already.
No, that's a big budget, but I think they're going to change it up and have again.
Well,
more
I suppose
women
they've
in
got
it.
to bring this out to fight with Apple
Yes.
TV with the Foundation.
Well, everybody's got to fight. I think the Foundation might suck. Like, I reckon Disney and everybody's going to be shocked at how much the Foundation pulls people in, because you've seen the trailer for Foundation. It looks good. It looks really, really good, and nothing else out there looks as good as it does.
This looks very much like the Shadowhunters program.
Oh God, I hope not. I'm really
just looking at the spells and stuff and the way it all goes around. It looks
yeah, but with a budget at least. Like
there's a budget.
Like, yeah, and that's always been the thing with high fantasy shows on TV. They never look, or even film, because we've had a similar discussion before. But I think this is the best time in a wave to be alive, because the special effects, if they've got the money, they look so good that even on a small screen, it doesn't date as much as a lot of other films do. And you can do the type of films you've never been able to do before. Foundation being one of them. And even Dune, which I think might actually be a huge flop.
Well, I don't think it will. It might be, but I don't think it will. I think it might
I only think that because I think Dune's it's like Lord of the Rings. It's
very confusing,
inaccessible, even if you read the book. You know, if you go on YouTube, there are hundreds of videos trying to explain what Dune's all about. And I'm not saying that all these guys weren't good writers or whatever, but it's really deep stuff. If you
got to be super nerd to understand it.
If you can get a grasp with Dune, you see Star Wars in it. Like half of Star Wars is Dune, and you like people think what the worm. The sandworms in Star Wars, the robots, like robots being banned from everywhere. That's also Dune.
But then they come out before Tremors. Tremors came out before them, didn't it?
Before what? Dune.
Yeah.
No, the book's old. The book's like 1970, whatever. It's quite an old book. Is it Isaac Asimov? It's a really no, it's not. It's a really old book. So when people go on about Star Wars, you know, a lot of what is in Dune is in Star Wars. And I'm not saying George Lucas ripped it off as such, but
you don't want to get sued,
huh? No,
it's just
I think even George Lucas would accept that a lot of what he did was it was Frank Herbert, that was it, was based on Dune. And like I said, if you read it, it's all in it. The Force, you know, all that type of stuff. It's heavily comes from Dune. So as to what happens with that one, it'll be interesting to see if the audience pick it up. It's had enough publicity, but again, it's a film that's now over 3 years old, or 2 years past release date, original release date. So we'll see. Where were we?
That's what happens with COVID.
Yeah, Star Wars Resistance. No, we'll do that one. All right, you probably don't. Did you ever watch Star Wars Resistance?
Was that
that was
the 2D cartoon that came about 2 years ago?
Yeah, which was
I think I watched a episode, but I never really got into it. It looked very kiddie.
Yeah, it was one of what's his name's biggest failures.
It had BB-8 in it, didn't it? So
yeah,
it was just after the
only
third
lasted
film,
for 2 seasons, I think, and it wasn't a big hit. But originally,
and the people look like they're 12 foot tall.
Yeah, originally they were going to have Kylo Ren fight Asajj Ventress. Do you remember her?
Yeah,
from Clone Wars. And I think that would have been really cool. But everybody hated that series so much; it only lasted 2 seasons.
So didn't the Ventress die anyway?
She dies in a book.
I thought she died in Rebels.
No, she doesn't die. I don't think she appears. Does she appear in Rebels? No, she doesn't. She doesn't get an appearance in Rebels.
I know she disappears in the Clone Wars, doesn't she?
But there's a book out called Ventress, and she actually dies before the end of the Clone Wars. I don't know if it's still canon, but it would have been nice to see her in Resistance.
It'd be nice to see her in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, because I think she was a character whose redemption arc never got completed, really.
No.
And it would have been nice to see if that happened. Sees even Kylo Ren got redeemed in the end.
Yeah,
the entire system.
Right.
Halo TV series. Halo being a computer game that I think it was my first Xbox game. Halo.
It was everyone's first Xbox game. Came with it
because it looks good. It was a good looking game. At the time, I think
state of the art at the time. It did before all the Call of Duty and all of that, wasn't it? So it was like the very first.
It was a game that
shoot 'em up.
Made sure that Xbox outsold PlayStation.
Because all you had was Doom before that.
Now that is moving to Paramount Plus, which I think means that we'll probably get it in
another new channel.
Yeah, didn't you know about that's the Star Trek one? So the channel with all the Star Trek shows and Fast and Furious, that's Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one.
And that's moving. That's Halo's going to be on there, which makes you think it's going to appear on Netflix or Amazon, because they seem to get all the Paramount Plus stuff anyway. Have you noticed Disney Plus has been getting lots of weird shows on it recently? Now, I do, because basically I've said it for ages. Disney Plus, especially in the UK, does not have enough products. It is not a Netflix. It may have lots of subscribers, but it's no Netflix. Like in the sheer breadth of stuff they've got and new stuff. Because I don't think they've got a lot of new product, and what they do have is pretty, not poor, but they don't even, in terms of new stuff, they don't even match up to Apple TV, in my view. And I know the Marvel stuff's great. I know What If's wonderful.
I don't know if because it's Hulu in the States. I don't know if there's like a licensing laws and stuff like that they got to get past, because different providers and stuff over here.
Like we got the Fox, we get all the Fox stuff.
That takes a while.
And there is one Hulu show which we'll talk about in a minute, which is fantastic. But I think, especially with like the biggest shows at the moment outside of the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, I think in terms of new shows, it's the one show that me and you both love, and we'll talk about in a bit more depth later.
Well, Big Sky was
the only murderers in the building.
Big Sky was big.
And Big
Rebel
Sky, but that's finished. Yeah, but that's which one? Rebel. Yeah, that's finished. That season's gone.
Yeah.
And they've got Invasion, which I think is appalling. Like, it's such a European product in the sense that its budget's so low.
Yeah, but you also had that other one as well, Hellstrom. That was terrible.
Yeah, it's like an emotional drama. Not Invasion. It's what is it? Is it Invasion? God, the War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
That was only 2 series. That's really old though. That was only 2 seasons.
No, it's not. It's only just announced season 2, which was meant to go on Sky, but it came straight onto Disney Plus. So it's not. It's a new show, and like the budget's the budget's because it's very emotional. It's turned into psychological drama. And I'm like,
I literally thought it was a Tom Cruise film, so I never linked into it.
Would you like it? The first couple of episodes are brilliant.
I remember seeing it on Sky last year, and yeah, he wasn't that good.
Well,
it's with that English guy, isn't it?
Yeah. Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne, yeah. That English guy who's Irish.
Like, because Gabriel Byrne's in it, right? And he's really good. I'm not saying the cast are brilliant, right? But let me give you an example. The main threat they have in it is these 4-legged robots that look like they came from Dynamics.
Yeah, but that is the War of the Worlds. They were 4-legged robots come out of the sky.
No. They're 4-legged robots that are the size of a small dog. And that's their main threat. And they look and I was like, for robots that came from an alien species, they sure do look like they came from, Crystal Dynamics. You know, they've got those jogging robots and they're weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like that. And then you only see them in the first season, and that's it.
Because they
And
run out of
now there's
budget.
nothing. Yeah, I'm just like, wow, how did anybody pay for this? How did this get off the ground? But yeah, that's their big show. And that's about it. They've got a few natural history shows on there. They've got the making of shows that are on there. And they keep dumping a load of decent films. But this week, everything changed. They've got a show called Feyenoord on there. Well, over the past couple of weeks, it's changed.
But that's just like the Amazon documentary, so
yeah, so it's they've got
it's just the Dutch version.
Yeah. So
The Fly on the
so
Wall
they
ones.
okay, and they've got I think there's 2 of those on there.
Yeah, you've
But then
got
they've
the
got
Real
what
Madrid
is-
one, and you've got the final one.
They've got what is my favourite show now. And I'm just looking up because I'm getting up on the screen. And I think mine and yours is
Well, I mentioned this to you last year, and as soon as I read about it, I thought it was going to be a great show. I told you at one of our podcasts at the beginning of the year that they're making this program, and it was only in the pipeline.
Really?
With Martin Short and Steve Martin.
Well, right. So I don't care if this takes up the rest of our show, but we can talk about this now, right? Only Murders in the Building, which is only just launched on Star TV. Yeah, I think the new episode's out tomorrow, and it stars Steve Martin, who I haven't seen on TV for ages. Martin Short, who I have seen, I saw him on that Apple show, Good Morning, Morning America, or whatever it is, and Selena Gomez. Now, I wasn't expecting it to be that good, right? Because I hadn't seen them on screen for a long time. And when there's that much comedy power in a room, you think it's all going to be egos. And
I would like to see the outtakes of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. And Selena Gomez, I mean, I tend to underestimate her comedy bones, but she actually has done a lot of comedies. The only film I think I truly hated of hers was
Spring Breakers.
Jupiter.
No, that was not. She was in Jupiter Ascending. That was Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis. All right, thank God. Then she stays good. Well, Spring Breakers is rubbish.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's terrible. What else is there? There's lots of shows called Selena Gomez for some reason, but she's brilliant in it.
She was a child actress,
and it does something which Steve Martin and
Martin Short
were on Bill Mayer's show. Bill Mayer's got a bee in his bonnet about ageism at the moment, right? And he's moaned a lot about how it's the last area, how lefties and righties and this and conservatives are this, and he moans about young people in particular and all the rest of it, about how they want this their way and that way. And I have to say, credit to Steve Martin and Martin Short, they were just like, what are you on about, bro? You clearly don't know what this show's about. And this show is about how actually the internet has done something great. It has brought people together in a lot of instances. And one of those is over murder mystery crime shows, because this is there was a show, there's 2 shows like this out there, and this one
I used to listen to the one called Serial.
Yeah. And that brought lots of people together, solving things and solving.
Yeah, we used to talk about it at work all the time.
And I think that's where the internet has actually succeeded. That it has brought people together. It is a bit grisly, but actually, they're problem solving in this show. They're communicating across generations.
Yeah.
And it's so well done. The other show that's like this is The Truth Be Told, which is a lot more daytime crime drama-y than this one is. Well, they're both daytime crime drama, I guess, but Truth Be Told's a lot more like slick in its presentation, where this one's a lot more funny. Both of them have this sort of really personal touch, and I love it. I have missed Steve Martin. I'm not going to lie, and I don't know what you think, Dave. I'll come to you in a second, but I think this show might be the breakout hit, and the type of breakout hit Disney Plus needs. And I hope this isn't the only season they do.
No,
it feels like it's going to be a single season, because the actual case is very interconnected to the characters in certain ways. But my God, it's so nice to see the lads back, the boys back.
It's a whodunit, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a who's done it.
Well, I have had them.
I've got that funny feeling it's her, and I don't think it is now.
No, I don't think it is, but it's what should we call it? In my head, I've got the music, the Murder She Wrote music.
Yeah, it is like the Murder She Wrote.
And I think that makes this show absolutely beautiful, and I would suggest it to anybody out there that the only what is it called again? The Only Murders in the Building is absolutely, it's brilliant. In terms of Black Cat, I know this may sound like I've got a chip on my shoulder, but they need to. If I don't know why with these shows, right? But I don't know. It just felt like there's no, apart from Selena, there's no actual color in this show. There was one woman who's a cop who's just mean. She's just like, who are you? I hope she appears again.
Yeah, but she's going to be she's the main character.
Yeah, I hope she is, because I think, come on, you can do better than that, guys. But by God, I mean it. This is a really good show. I'll hand over to you, Dave. What's your feel? What's your touch on this?
Well, it's really rubbish.
I know. I'm gonna whoop your ass. I'm gonna.
No, I told you it was gonna be a good show. I knew it would be, because Steve Martin, wherever he touches, turns to gold normally. When was the last time he done a bad movie?
You say that, but do you remember Dennis Pennis?
Yeah.
So I think Steve Martin did this short film, the Pink Panther. Oh, no, it was Sergeant Bilko. And Dennis Pennis was at the premiere, and he obviously had the BBC microphone. So as a celebrity, they come up to them and go, whatever, yeah. And Dennis Pennis went to Steve Martin and went, "When are you going to be funny again? Or when are you going to do a funny film
because he stopped doing films like The Jerk and stuff like that, didn't he? And that's what
made
him.
But literally he said, I'm never going to be interviewed by the BBC ever again. And since then, his career sort of gone on. He doesn't hardly comes to UK, doesn't do any interviews. But yeah, he's still seen as being his comedy talent. Pink Panther, everybody hated.
Yeah, but that was
I don't think many people watched it. Did you watch it? I never watched it.
I didn't like Pink Panther anyway.
Yeah,
it was one of those programs I always hated.
And the last film I remember seeing of his, in terms
Chief
of
by the Dozen too.
No, I think it was actually Sergeant Bilko, which I enjoyed. No, my favourite Steve Martin film is the one where he plays the fire chief with the long nose.
Oh, Roxanne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching it in the cinema.
No, The Jerk was always my favourite one.
Yeah.
Because he got grown up by the black family and he always thought he was black.
So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
And Martin Short, you haven't really heard or seen him since
he's on the Apple show, the Good Morning America show, but as a bit of a villain, I think. And yeah, well, he dropped out a bit. I think I know he's done stuff, but all that comes to mind is the film where he gets shrunk.
Yeah, in a space.
No, not shrunk.
But they go into his body.
Yeah, Quaid gets shrunk.
Dennis Quaid goes shrunk into his body. Yeah,
and that's the last thing I remember him. That's
the last thing I remember him from. Yeah,
but I think let's do a quick search.
He was a big '80s actor, but
no, because I think his wife had died or something, or I don't know what it was, but I think he just didn't do that much stuff after a while. But no, he's got a full biography. Yeah, it's just small parts, but looks it.
Yeah, he just does cameos everywhere, doesn't he?
Madagascar 3, Frankenweenie, a lot of voiceovers. Mayor and Marty, don't know what that is. Cat in the Hat, Hairspray Live, Jimmy Kimmel Live, BoJack Horseman, which is a show I've got to go back to and finish actually. Addams Family, animated, I presume.
So yeah,
The Morning Show. Yeah, The Morning Show is the last thing I saw of him. But no, it's not. It's a mother. Right, so another one of my favorite shows, which is on Apple TV, is Schmigadoon, right? And I don't know why it's one of my favorites.
Is this the one where they're singing?
Yeah, but I watched the whole thing, right?
See, I can't.
He's in that.
As soon as I heard about that, I just didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, he's actually in it. No, I get it, but it's kind of like one of those shows. If it's just weird. But
do you know when like series do like those sing-along episodes, and you just really want to turn off. That's what comes to mind about that program.
It is a bit like that, but there's a lot more to it. But it is a little bit like that. It's just not. It's not as bad as that. I found it just quite.
Is it like The Greatest Showman then, where they just sing and they act at the same time?
No, because the songs are part of the joke. So one character will be like, "Don't sing, don't sing, don't you dare sing," and then they'll break out into song over something. It's just stood there going.
Yeah,
and then it sort of works.
That's not for me.
He sort of does a Dave. It's like, why are you singing? But yeah, it's not bad. I think it was quite decent. Now, right, moving on as you do. The Rocketeer. Do you remember the?
I remember the original Disney film.
Yeah, right. And then there was a animated TV show they did for a bit.
Oh, I never saw that.
I
remember seeing it as a kid in the 80s in the cinema.
Well, they recently did a kid show.
Keeping you awake, are we?
Sorry.
Okay.
They recently did a kids show, which ran for I think a couple of seasons. Well, now it's getting a direct to Disney Plus movie, which the Rocketeer. I don't know how.
Oh, that's based in what, the 20s?
Yeah, 20s, 30s.
Yeah, so
those Nazis, who they think they are?
Yeah,
we're the mafia, but we ain't no stinking Nazis.
Are they going to modernize it?
I don't think it would work in a modern day. I think it's a film of its time because it is a film about a guy with a rocket pack. I don't know what.
There's still not many guys with rocket packs now, so
yeah, but it's not like, let's say with Iron Man, right? You take the concept of Iron Man, and they had to put him in a situation where the armor made sense to be. Like if Iron Man was stopping street robberies, it wouldn't make any sense.
Well, that's basically right? The Rocketeer was Iron Man, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was like his only gift is the rocket. So it's going to be a bit hard, I think. I don't know. I think it might be a bit hard to do a film based on that.
Well,
that's not what I'm saying. I just don't, to do a modern day film, it'd be hard. It'd be like putting 70s. Indiana Jones. No, definitely no. The Vietnam War. It has to be a time without an actual. It had to be a time without an actual war going on.
There's been wars in every decade.
The 20s.
The 20s? It was Afghanistan.
The Roaring 20s. The Roaring 20s.
The Roaring 20s.
There was no war. That decade was pretty clean.
Oh, what, 1920s? Before World War One broke out?
No, there were plenty of wars before World War One. That was just a culmination of a bad decade. I don't know. I think I'd love to see it. I mean, the original film worked. If they can do it in that time, I think that might be quite good. Or maybe create a world that works for it, like a more steampunky world. That would be
into the Badlands sort of thing.
Yeah, just something set in an environment that suits that sort of story. But I think the problem with the Rocketeer is he's got a rocket and what? Like he can fly. Okay, cool. What is he stopping bank robberies with his rocket? Really? Okay, that's cool. Thank you. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would work, but it's nice that Disney are finally starting to go, we need more products, and they're going to start putting it out there. Now, another quick story about Disney Plus is apparently they're changing the name of the Mandalorian. And at first, when I heard this, I was like, why would they do that?
Because maybe they're getting rid of him because he can't act.
No, I don't think it's that. I think that possibly, remember that Rangers of the Old...
And they're going to call it Boba Fett.
Rangers of the
Get rid of the Mandalorian, kill him off.
The Rangers of the New Republic got cancelled. I wouldn't blame them, though. Because he's probably going to go for something else. I mean, I know Mandalorian's an easy gig for him. No, he is. He's in another show. He's been cast in something else, hasn't he?
I don't know. I don't care. The guy can't act.
Left for Last of Us.
Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah, I reckon the Mandalorian name's going to change because I think it might become range, whatever an amalgamation of the Rangers of the New Republic. So
you reckon? I don't think it'll happen.
I'm feeling like it might, because at the end of the day, it's.
I think this will be the last season. They're going to call it the Mandalorian, and it'll turn into the Book of Boba Fett and everything else, and that'll be.
No, I don't think that. I definitely don't think that's.
And then they'll bring in other characters and change it to their name.
It's been a huge hit.
But it's just going to turn into the Thrawn TV show and everything else, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he's also got a deal with. He's doing the Last of Us TV show as well. Yeah. So he's filming that next year. No, it's currently filming.
Yeah,
so after that does, it's probably going to do the 3rd season of The Mandalorian. Well, no, 4th. Sorry, I keep happening. The 4th season of Mandalorian, and then that's it. But I don't think they're going to cancel it. That's been far.
They will cancel it because there's too many other things to come out.
So they don't have enough, Dave. They do not have enough.
They're just going to bring other characters in. You've got loads of stuff coming out.
You're so cynical, Dave. So cynical. I like the way you got your mic upside down. Nobody just knows that.
What do you mean? Is it not meant to be upside down?
No, you can. It can go either which way.
Exactly.
It's the power of technology. They've just cast the new Will Smith.
Do you think it's funny that his surname's Banks?
Yeah.
Do you think that he got the part because his surname's Banks?
It might be. But they wouldn't be that shallow, would they?
I don't know. It's the weird how they. He is a Banks.
I'm quite surprised because for those who don't know, this remake started as a short film project. A young man went and made a serious 5-minute trailer of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith saw it, and now they're taking it forward as a full-on production. So it shows that putting effort into something can do amazing things sometimes.
Do you think it will work? With this day and age,
I honestly don't know. I think a serious take on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, now more than ever could work. But at the same time,
when we were growing up, it was the only thing on, so you did watch it.
Well, yeah,
you had that or the Cosby Show on the Sunday afternoon or whatever.
Well, yeah, they were the only black people on TV at the time. But I think,
and then after that, you had Monkey Magic, so it was like two great shows.
An egg on a mountain top, monkey.
So Wednesday afternoon was like prime time when you come home from school. You had Fresh Prince at 6, and you had Monkey Magic at 6:30.
I think it'll work as long as they it's an hour-long drama, and it is a very serious take. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. And like I said, I'll definitely watch it. Although it's going to be on Peacock, and I don't even know what streaming service that is.
Well, Peacock's ABC, isn't it, or NBC?
But at some point it'll come over here, no doubt. Probably Amazon, who again I think are going to come out.
I don't know if it's going to work.
Well, we'll see. I'll give it a shot.
You don't have the same. I don't know. It's the cast that made the original.
Yeah, but it's.
Uncle Phil was Uncle Phil. Jazz was Jazz. And then you had Jeffrey, the English butler, just
but it's
so blatant.
It's not going to be that, is it? It's like instead of
be...
Jeffrey being like, "Hello, sir," it's going to be, "Excuse me, young man." It's you get me. It's not going to be.
I don't think it's going to be for our generation.
Uncle Phil's not going to be like, I'm a judge. It's like, kid, you do that one more time, and I'll put you in jail myself.
That's what I mean. Uncle Phil was one of a kind.
There's going to be no humor in it. It's going to be very, very, very serious. I want to see who else they cast. I think it'd be so funny if they cast the original Aunt Viv as in this one again, because she got done. She got done
the one
wrong.
That got fired.
Yeah, they all made up recently, but she.
Yeah, I saw the preview for
that. Right, moving on. Quick comic book news. Batman is finally leaving Gotham. I don't know what that means in terms of where the character's going, but Gotham City is no longer going to be the home base of Batman. It'll be left in the safe hands of his fellow characters. But the only reason I brought this story up is I've always hated the idea of Gotham and Metropolis in the comic books, because if there's one thing that made Marvel better than DC, is everything was really
it was real.
No,
they were in New York. They were in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they were in real places. and sometimes they interact with that world around them. And that's why I think even Black Panther, although it's been successful movie-wise, comic book-wise, it tends to struggle over the long term, I think, because Wakanda's so fantastical. And I think it's nice if Batman did move to a normal city, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if he's going on tour. I don't know if he's going around the world.
Batman's going to Dubai.
Gotham will no longer be his home. So it'll be really, really, I think that's a really exciting change. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Right, I think we can get on to our quick fire reviews, but shall we do we'll do Shang-Chi last, and we'll do the others as quick fire reviews. Did you watch Lower Decks?
No,
because you've gone off of it, haven't you? You're like,
yeah.
It's too. I don't know if I've gone off of it. I just think that it's too. Like, I think, as you mentioned before, the animation's too much like a lot of other shows, and it's just not outrageous enough. And
it's not just the animation; it's like the whole story is like other shows. It's just a different way of telling it.
Yeah, I think they could have done more with it.
It's all been done before, and it's all been done like within the last 2 years.
And what I don't like, especially, is they seem to be patting themselves on the back because the many characters are black, and I'm just very much like, really, that's the basis of like the captain's black and her daughter's, and I'm like, do you know what? I'm just a bit. Who's this trying to please? It's not outrageous enough for like Ricky and Morty fans, and it's not like entertaining enough for normal Star Trek fans. And I've heard a lot of fans go, "Oh, it reminds me of the old Star generations." Really? That reminds you of how the original generations? Like, no, you're talking bollocks. So I don't hate it. I'll still watch it, but I don't.
It's watchable. It's like Futurama. You watch a few episodes and go, "Oh, I'm a bit too old for this now."
Well, they have it, ladies and gents. Dave's almost looking depressed just talking about.
Well, I've seen it all before. Like I said, I've seen it all before. I've seen it all with Futurama, and it's just repeating that basically.
You're allowed. You're allowed to. It's absolutely. You're absolutely there. Just some quick breaks in the news. Apparently, fans are going to boycott Aquaman because of Amber Heard.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Really? I'm not being bad. It's a bit much. Do you know what I mean? It's she didn't do anything wrong. She only got what was hers.
She ruined the Jack Sparrow's career.
Well, he ruined his own career. I'm not being bad.
Maybe they ruined each other's careers because they're both being greedy little bastards now.
I doubt it. But I'm like, if they want to boycott,
the publicity stunt has probably gone wrong. That's probably what it is.
Who knows, man? These people get angry and they get angry quickly.
Rich people get angry. It's in the press, isn't it? That's what happens. If you beat your wife, no one would know any different.
Yes, it was. Everybody would know. Right. So the next show, should I even mention Stargirl? Have you gone off of Stargirl?
Yes.
Oh, you liked the first season.
The first season was okay. The second season,
but after
I watched one and a half episodes I've watched, and it's boring. It's really boring.
Okay.
It seems like one of those cheap Nickelodeon TV shows.
No, I don't think.
What was that film, Sky High? It seems to be like that.
It doesn't. For me, it wasn't that it seems cheap. For me, it's more that it seems that it's
pathetic.
It's changed the format. The previous one, they were building to a story. This one seems to be bad guy or whatever.
Where everyone died.
Yeah.
So it's like, really? Did you make a second season just for the sake of it?
Because people watched it. Because it's also in a small town. I'm like,
these things are always set in small towns, and you're thinking, man, everyone in that town is a superhero of some sort.
Yeah.
And they don't know anyone. It's like, come on, please.
But I don't hate it. I'm still watching it. I still quite like the characters. It's exciting to see, especially when they brought in the Green Lantern. I didn't think they'd bring it in, but then they sort of didn't. But I'm not bad with it. I just think it's starting to feel too CW this season. And CW.
I think it went too far. I should have just stopped at one season.
Or they need to bring in bigger villains. and I don't think they have so far. Shang-Chi, Dave. Now, me and Dave went to see Shang-Chi.
And the
today.
10 golden, is it 10 golden rings or just
Yes,
the 10 rings?
The 10 rings.
The 10 rings.
Now, the 10 rings was first introduced in the first Iron Man film. And they were the protagonists for Tony Stark up until halfway in the film. And everybody was waiting with bated breath to see what would happen after that. But you had the 10 rings, and then you had, that was their first appearance. And there was no real mention of them since then, I think, as far as I can remember. You know, Gillian mentioned them in Iron Man 3, and he brought forward the Mandarin, who was meant to be the leader of the 10 rings, which, funny enough, is also the name of a chicken meal, but we won't go into that. And
did you steal that line from the film?
Oh, I did not.
It sounded like it.
No spoilers. No spoilers. And that happened in the third film. And if you might not saw it, some people saw it, but there was a little clip I think at the end of Iron Man 3 called "All Hail the King," a little video. And I think it was released after Iron Man 3, or it might have been released separately. But people might have seen it. It was called "All Hail the King," and it showed what happened to Trevor.
Really?
Yeah, it shows what happens to him when he's in prison.
See?
Have you not seen
I've never seen this, no.
All right. There's something. You see, that's where "All Hail the King." You see, if I'd had more time, I would have sent you the link for that. It's actually on Disney Plus at the moment.
Really? Is it one of those shorts that they do? Oh, right. See, I don't tend to watch those little short things.
Well, it's on Disney Plus. It's a separate thing.
I'll have a look.
So it's just a short video of what happens to Ben Kingsley's character, or Ben Kingsley's version. Sorry, I keep calling him. It's
Ben
Trevor.
Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley to you.
Yeah. So what happens to his character after he goes to prison? Because obviously it's like he goes to prison, and what happens is, as in All Hail the King, he's quite popular in prison, and everybody quite likes him. All the prisoners like, "You're cool, man. You're a nice dude." And he gets a protector played by Lester Spike, and even Sam Rockwell appears in it as well, right? So, I think it's going to make a comeback in the future films. So, Ben Kingsley's character gets busted out of prison by the head of the 10 rings.
Oh, right. And this is why he's in.
And that's why you find him in the new film.
Okay.
Spoilers. Shit. No. Oh, well, look, everybody knew it was going to be. So, no spoilers. This is no spoilers.
No, this is why I was shocked when we watched it today. I was like, what the hell's he doing there?
Yeah. So basically, that's where that all comes from, and that's why you see him again in this film.
Plus, he probably had a free meal deal with Disney.
Yeah, and so we come back to the Mandarin. Well, not the Mandarin, the 10 rings in this film. And as I was saying to Dave earlier when we were watching the movie, it's quite interesting that a concept that was based deep in racism to a degree, and the yellow peril attitude of the West, has made this sort of turnaround into a sort of, I don't know, a respectable product, if you will.
I thought the fight scenes were really on point.
Yeah, I think most of them were. I think that they were filmed really, really well.
Because they were filmed slowly as well, so you could actually watch the moves. And
yeah. Because I think from the start of the film doesn't go long before some action hits. Like there's little plots of action between the entire.
Well, it started off with action.
Yeah, and I think its plotting's really good. I think the performances of nearly everybody involved is superb, and I think they all deserve a pat on the back. But, and there is a but.
There's a big but.
There's a big but. I think that Marvel needs to. I don't know. I think they need to just give their films a bit more depth. As much as the martial arts is new to Marvel, and the spiritual sort of aspect is new to Marvel, it's still another character with daddy issues that we've got here. Do you know what I mean? And I'm
daddy
like,
issues, don't they?
yeah, and I'm just like, how
Tony Stark
can
had
someone
daddy issues.
please not have daddy issues? Can we get another story of some kind? You know, what are these characters really fighting for? And I think this is maybe a problem again with making films set in China or whatever. You know, this story is essentially is like Deadpool says in the trailer, the start of the Deadpool films. You know, I know this seems like a superhero film, but no, this is a story about love.
But this is an origin story, how it all came about, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and it's a love
It's
story.
bringing them into the universe.
It's
but normally
about,
you'll have 2 or 3 films like you did, and then it was like Wolverine Origins.
yeah.
After 4 X-Men films, you're like, oh, where did he come from and how did he get his powers?
Yeah,
This is
but there's a lot.
straight from the
There's a
beginning.
lot less of the origin-y stuff. Like the origin of Shang-Chi is told in passing, like in flashbacks. It's not like the start of the film.
That's right. Let's not go through the whole story of.
Yeah, and I think the pace is quite good for the most part. It still has that sort of Marvel lull about 2/3 of the way through, where everything seems to stop, and people talk a lot, and then they just move on to the next plot with no next
super fast action.
Yeah, and then they just move on to the next part of the story because they've got to get to this part of the story. And like I said, I'm not. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying this is rubbish. This film's very entertaining. It's got a superb cast in it. And Aquafina did not wind me up as nearly as much as I thought anybody with a name Aquafina could wind me the fuck up, right? And
no, she was actually pretty good in this.
Yeah, because she's got a bit of a bad rep with certain groups because she likes to do the whole
not shut up.
Yeah, and like I said, they've got a really good cast in it. I don't want to beat around the bush with this. Simu Liu was in a TV show. I forgot the name of it. It was a Korean TV show in the States that got cancelled recently. But the rest of the
Dr.
cast,
Kim, Mr. Kim.
Michelle Yeoh, no, not Mr. Kim. It was a grocery shop one.
That was Mr. Kim.
Was it Mr. Kim?
Mr. Kim owned a grocery store in Toronto.
They've got Michelle Yeoh's in this film. They've got I forgot the name. It's Tony Shoot, whoever his dad is. Wu Wen. It's not Mandarin. I've got to not say Mandarin, right? Because it's clearly.
I actually think Wong's name is Mr. Wong in real life as well.
Yeah, Wong's in this one, and I know it's not.
But his name is Mr. Wong in real life.
Yeah, and I think like it holds up really well overall. But again, I will say that the problem with this film is the same problem it's got with a lot of Marvel ones. It feels like it's going like this is a trailer for something.
It's a 2-hour build-up for something else.
Yeah, because too much happens in it. Like Aquafina, you know, I know she's a good bus driver, but that don't mean she's good at everything else. Yeah.
No, but
let's not say what
started
happens.
off with her being a driver as well. So
yeah.
So she's obviously going to be a stunt driver of some sort, isn't she?
Yeah, but then by the end of the film, she's her character goes in a slightly different direction. Visually, it's stunning, but it could have done with a bit more of the visuals and a lot less of the nattering. I know it was 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
I think that they could have had a bit more action in there, but also just could have had more time developing the character.
I did have a couple of power naps.
I know, but you always you're weird.
It's because it's so dark.
And yeah, but apart from that, I just think it's just a another well put together Marvel product. You won't feel cheated.
I think it's all building up to Doctor Strange films.
Yeah, you won't feel cheated. I think it looks like he's going to be in Doctor Strange. Because again, no spoilers, but it seems like they're setting him up to be in the next Doctor Strange film. Whether or not that's the case, I don't know, because I don't even know if Doctor Strange has started filming yet. But if not Doctor Strange, they're building up to something massive. And
it's going to be in Spider-Man. We never know.
Yeah, it's whatever they're building up to is going to be massive with Shang-Chi. Because if the comic book's everything to go by, in the comic book, the 10 rings were actually rings that were on fingers. They weren't rings on the arms.
Bracelets.
Yeah, they weren't bracelets that fitted on the arm like they do in this film. And they were, each one had a different power, like the Infinity Gauntlet. Each one had a different ability, but they were all gifts from a certain dragon called Fing Fang Foom. Which, if that,
I can't believe you remembered that.
And which, if they are doing that, that's going to be like Marvel's version of Godzilla, because there's some dark shit's going down if Fing Fang Foom appears. So that will be really, really exciting if they're doing that. But I think it's something else. But we'll see. I like the interaction between Aquafina's character and Shang-Chi. So it was because they
bounced off each other.
Yeah, they're mates. And she plays a character called Katie, and they're just mates. And there's no like sexual tension or anything between them. They just have a lot of fun with each other. And that works really, really well, I think, throughout the film.
There's a lot of reading as well in this film.
A lot of
reading.
What people reading?
Well, people can't read subtitles.
But, but if you can't read subtitles in the cinema,
no, but you kind of
I mean, they're huge.
I don't know. Some people, I don't know. I have watched films in the past where the whole film been subtitled, and I don't know. If you're sitting there for an hour reading subtitles, you kind of get bored.
Yeah, but you're not sitting there for an hour and it's reading subtitles. The most subtitles you get.
It probably about 5 minutes, and then it changes back to English. But yeah, it does. It does
the rest
quite
of
a lot.
Subtitles, if you're that bad, you can just guess what they're saying because it's usually offensive.
No, but it does it quite a lot, and it's very repetitive.
Yeah, and I want to know who, if Range Rover sponsored this film, because
Land Rover, you mean?
Land Rover. Because there's a lot of cars in places.
A lot of electric vehicles.
Yeah, and I was like, there's somebody put the money into this puppy. Yeah. There's a lot of money. So why are there so many electric cars here and stuff? But that works all right. Again, it's not bad or whatever. His sister's pretty cool in this. I think there's a character.
Sister's a badass.
Yeah,
let's get it right. His sister's a badass.
And you, again, it's not a spoiler, but you've seen Abomination in it, and Abomination's not the Abomination that from Hulk. There's something very off about him, and I think that again will be explored in future films. But it could be interesting. And just somebody explain to me why Wong and Abomination are hanging out. I just need to know because they don't explain it to you in the film.
No, they're literally there, and then they're fighting, and then they're best mates.
Yeah. So somebody needs to explain to me. And why is it every time I see Wong now, he's always going somewhere?
Or he's drinking.
In the trailer for Doctor Strange, he's going somewhere.
No, that was Spider-Man. He was going somewhere.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man. He's off somewhere. Like,
wait, he was off to China, wasn't he? That's where he was going.
Well, he's meant to be controlling the Chinese base of operations in Hong Kong. But no,
there's obviously a reason somewhere behind all these little snippets of Wong traveling around the world.
I do hope Marvel products, I know they have to keep the Chinese happy, but I do hope Marvel products get a little bit more depth. You know, they leave by leaving things out by omission. They sort of show that they know that they're leaving it out. And yes, you can go into a mystical world or whatever and fight there, and I've got no problem with that. But the Marvel universe, I know, was the place outside your window, and so far, Marvel's managed to go 20-odd films without mentioning the world outside their window that much. So it'd be interesting to see if Marvel could do that, especially with the X-Men around the corner and the mutants arriving. Yeah. It would be interesting if you can do that, but. As a final, I guess we haven't got a proper review system. If anybody wants to give us one or advise one, but at the moment we'll stick to the pints. I will give this 4.5 pints worth of intent out of 5.
Out of 5.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 4.5 pints out of 5 is my final take for it. Definitely worth it.
I'm just going to give it a 4, straight 4.
Okay,
there's no half. You obviously liked it a lot better than me because I fell asleep.
Well, I would go and see it again on the IMAX. I think visually it looks, especially the fight scenes.
The fight scenes are very good.
Fight scenes like this in a long time, in the sense that you can see.
Crouching Tiger was the last time you saw fighting like that, really.
Yeah. But just the fact you can see it clearly. A lot of
I think they slowed it down a lot so people could like see it.
because the last, especially the last action scene is probably the where it gets a bit, the camera gets a bit more jiggy.
Gets a bit hectic.
But even then, it's not as much as I've seen in other films. And this film deserves 80 million opening, definitely. Black Widow got an 80 million opening. It'll be interesting to see what happens next week.
Do you think this film's better than Black Widow?
Because
you've seen them both.
Again, it's all about depth for me, and I think in terms of depth, Black Widow had a little bit more depth. But in terms of
is that because you already knew the character?
No, I just think they there was a little bit more to it, but it has the same problem. This film has exactly the same problem that Shang-Chi had. Black Widow has the same problem Shang-Chi has. Both films in a way are about family, but they spend about 5 minutes as family, and then they're buggering off and going off and doing whatever. So in Black Widow, they're around the dining table, and they're like, "You did this to me, but I love you."
But they're all like that, though, aren't they?
But we were a family, and then before you know it, it all moves on again, and they don't even.
Spider-Man's like that though with his Aunt May. He goes back to her, but he jets off and does his thing.
Spider-Man and family have been a big chunk of all previous Spider-Man films until the Marvel films. Remember the first Spider-Man film? Spider-Man don't even appear until like an hour or so into the film. Yeah, the second set of Spider-Man films, it's like there's a big section of the story about Uncle Ben dying. All right. Yeah. In the Marvel Spider-Man film, not even this.
Uncle Ben was already dead.
Yeah. The only time you see Uncle Ben.
Have you even heard of Uncle Ben?
Yeah, Uncle Ben's not even mentioned. The only time you see Uncle Ben in those films is
he's a packet of rice in the cupboard.
No, when he's going on in the second Spider-Man film, when he's going abroad, it's Ben Parker's initials on his case. Okay. That's the only time you see it. And I just think, again, they're lacking a bit of depth that makes you have an emotional attachment to him in a way. Like even in Captain America laid the ground for a bit more emotion than these films do. And I think it's just a bit of a problem for the Marvel films long term. But in terms of the action, they're both big. The endings are both massive.
Yeah, but they're all from every film's a broken family film.
Yeah, but
even Black Panther.
No, but I mean they don't spend enough time.
He's killed his brother. He's killed his father, and bloody he goes nuts. And wants to be the Black Panther.
They spent a lot more time on that. There was a lot more depth to the Black Panther's process of grieving and dealing with that, and that was done over a couple of films. Because remember, it started off in Civil War when his father's killed, and then by the time we get to the Black Panther film, he's going through all these. There's a lot of emotional conversations that take place.
They're all got the emotional background somewhere, though. Even Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but this is why I think a lot of people
underestimate the big
how...
shot up his own arse, and then suddenly something happens, and it's like, oh.
No, but again, a lot of time spent on that, and I think that's why Doctor Strange, Black Panther, I think is one of the best Marvel films because the way it goes into really dark subject matter, it deals with grieving, and it deals with two people being right. Okay, like they're both right in their point of views. It's just how they execute it. But it's got a lot of depth because it's dealing with racism, slavery, all that type of stuff, and they go into that. Whereas with this film, it's just about a dude who loves his wife so hard he refuses to accept she's dead. And I don't think that storyline's over either, yeah, because they never tell you who Mask Kill is. And that
really annoyed me. That really annoyed me with that character.
Stop.
Yeah,
I reckon that
character was a badass, and then suddenly it was a pussy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. I think there's more to that story than
I still say the masked one was the mother.
Dave, well, you can't spoil spoilers.
It's not a spoiler because you never find out.
Spoilers, bro.
That's just my opinion. That's my opinion.
So I think that's going to be
because they say it's a bloke, so I don't think it's a bloke. I think it's the mother.
But we'll see. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I want. It'd be nice to see these characters come back, and it'd be nice to see when they start interacting with other Marvel characters in a much more deeper level than they did in this film. But overall, like I said, 4.5 pints.
Yeah, just 4.
Okay, well, I think unless
you saw an extra 20 minutes more than me.
animal.
I had a power nap in the middle.
No, well, I think that's about it. I think we've rocketed through everything for this week. So, ladies and gentlemen,
We didn't do what if this week, but yeah.
Oh no, we can do that now.
It's up to you. I didn't really enjoy
or we
it.
can wait. We can wait until the
I
super
might have to
mic.
watch it again.
We'll wait until the super mic's back, and maybe when you can muster up the stay awake and watch.
I was actually falling asleep watching that as well.
Oh, you're terrible. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is another episode of the Boys from Bossk podcast. Again, you can watch previous or listen to previous episodes on every podcast streaming service out there.
You can watch them as well on YouTube.
You can watch any of the old stuff and plenty of old stuff from the newestablishment.co.uk on the old website, or just go to our website. It's all there now. I've started updating it with the actual link so you can watch it on the website. So feel free to. I certainly enjoy your company. Like I said, send me questions to cj@newestablishment.co.uk or just leave them on the YouTube page. But like I said, this is another glorious episode of the world's finest podcast of the Boys from Bossk. Dave, say goodnight.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bell.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, good night.